Bordwell and Thompson touch on Moonrise Kingdom's fairy story trope in relation to the film's Arthurian romance narrative, with an unhappy princess in a tower who waits for a hero to rescue her while he braves the wilderness. This romantic intertextuality is not just in the film's narrative form, but in its mise-en-scene. Wes Anderson's films have a very distinct style which often emphasizes the storytelling qualities of the narrative. Moonrise Kingdom achieves this through its literal use of paintings. Expanding on this, every shot feels like a moment in time, captured in a painting. Moonrise Kingdom's use of mise-en-scene, its staging or blocking, color palette in its costumes, sets, and environments, all complement each painted moment. In the earliest days of film and television, when editing was difficult and cameras were bulky, the best way to shoot was to treat your work as if it were a play, staging it so all actors were always visible to the audience. This kind of blocking favors wide shots and medium shots over close-ups, softer lighting over thick shadows, and wider, more open sets over cramped, busy ones. Nowadays, with smaller, lighter cameras that can take in more detail, modern films tend to favor close-ups. Less common is deep focus. Less often is the viewer asked to look from one subject to the other on a crowded screen of faces. Now, editing in close-ups can do the heavy lifting for our eyes. Modern films often utilize shallow focus, choosing to tune in on smaller details rather than giving us the big picture. Wes Anderson instead chooses to favor the big picture, following our characters along as they explore his varying sets and environments. One can't help but think of The Last Supper when looking at this shot of khaki scouts at the table, conveniently sitting on only one side so every member is visible to us. This kind of staging, and this use of depth of field, further complements Anderson's goal to present us with a story that isn't trying to hide the fact that it's a story. Vivid yellows and greens complement this nostalgic 1960s setting, with many shots, especially the landscapes, looking like oil paintings. This use of bright colors is very intentional and further reinforces that this is not a gritty, documentary-style historical film, but rather a nostalgic, rose-tinted tale carefully prepared and planned to please the viewer. Anderson does this to give the impression of a memory, a long-cultivated, cherished memory of the past. Rather than focusing in on the details, the complex authenticities of a real island in 1965, Anderson gives us the big picture, allowing the film to imitate how memory actually works. We remember colors and places over specific details. The emotional reality of the character's love and rebellion is more important than the physical reality, and that's what makes a memorable tale. New Penzance isn't a real place, but its love story feels real to us because of its framing within this colorful, poignant world. A story that feels like a moment framed in time.